Arizona Coyotes are finally off the schneid. We're joined by Robyn Leano of Locked On Arizona Coyotes to talk about that and how the outlook is for the rest of Arizona's season.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Gil Martin here of Locked On NHL. I host the Monday show every week and want to thank everybody for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Over the weekend, the Arizona Coyotes finally get their first win of the season. And here to talk about it and all things Arizona Coyotes, the co-host of Locked On Coyotes, Robyn Leano. And Robyn, how are you today?
I'm just glad that's over.
Pretty exciting game, 5-4 win over the Kraken, and I'll tell you the Coyotes showed a little moxie there. They came back from 2-0 deficit, a 3-1 deficit, looked like they were going to blow a lead late, and then they come back and get the game winner. Tell me first about the game and how good did it feel to finally get that first W?
Yeah, the Coyotes really needed the win. Obviously, going 11 straight, tying their franchise longest winless streak to start the season. They looked frustrated, and starting off the game in less than a minute in, down 2-0, you could tell the frustration continued. But what's amazing is they didn't quit. Like, I saw this team. This was probably the most complete game, other than that first minute, that I see once they put in Scott Wedgwood instead of Kirill Vejmelka, and I just find it funny how Scott Wedgwood ends up being their savior once again. Feels like we're what is it now? 5 years, 4 years, running full circle.
Yeah, got to be tough. What was the reaction among the fan base? I mean, how did this fan base respond to this first win?
I think everyone was just glad it was over because everyone was super frustrated about going this string. And I think at the same time, though, everyone bought into the fact that this was going to be a poor season for the Arizona Coyotes. There wasn't going to be a tough start. They went through the top 6 teams in the league, or the top 10 teams in the league in just the first however many games they played. So they deserved at least some kind of win. Everyone was hoping it'd be against Anaheim because they're also lower on the rankings, but. I think, everyone's just glad it's over. Everyone is glad that at least that's behind them and they can focus on what's coming next.
How is the coaching staff holding up? I mean, it's got to be hard to keep everybody in the room on the same page, to still have faith in the coaching staff. How have they handled the first 10 or 11 games of this season so far?
I think, coaching staff has definitely been frustrated. Because there have been those moments when the team is obviously not looked good. They just looked like they were completely out of sync. And two, games where they actually did look pretty decent, they just couldn't pull off one side. Like, goaltending is phenomenal, but offense couldn't pull it together. Their new coach, Andre Tourigny, he just seemed patient, obviously frustrated, but patient. He's just like, once these guys start to buy in, things will start to fall into place. I saw that happen over the last week, against Carolina and against, those tougher teams last week. And I was like, it's going to happen eventually. And I even said it on the podcast, like, it's a very good chance it's going to happen, over the weekend against Anaheim or Seattle. I don't know which one, but it's going to happen.
And happen it did. Who are some of the players who give Arizona fans reason for optimism so far, now that we're through, the first chunk of the schedule?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and point out to the player who ended up getting first star credits in the game against the Kraken, and that's Lawson Krauss. Last year, Lawson Krauss had probably a pretty unlucky season, so to speak. He kept hitting goalposts, kept hitting the crossbar. He just definitely seemed frustrated off of that. And now I think he's 5 goals in, 2 goals in in Saturday's game, including the game winner in like the final minute of the game. And if this is a sign of, how the future of the Coyotes might be, that kind of play style, I think Coyotes have a lot to look forward to.
How about the play of Shane Gostisbehere? I mean, he's leading the team right now in scoring, 8 assists already through 12 games. What has he added to the mix for this team this year?
Gostisbehere, I've praised him on my podcast numerous times, not just in the scoring side, but also in the defensive side. I think there was a moment where a couple weeks ago, or even it was actually a game last week, where he swept the puck away from probably inches from the goal line on the defense. So he's been helping both sides of the ice, and I think that's what the Coyotes were intending to do when they brought him in. They obviously saw that contract and it's like, yeah, he's an overpaid guy, but this guy can still play. He's still a phenomenal defenseman, and I think he can fit into our system. And I think fitting in perfectly would be my way of saying for Shane Gostisbehere.
Talk to me a little bit about Phil Kessel. I mean, a lot of media people speculating, he's trade bait. Is he trade bait? When, if they do look to move him, are we talking closer to the trade deadline? And how is he fitting in right now?
Yeah, there's been a lot of chatter over the last couple of months, really, of Phil Kessel wanting to leave the Arizona Coyotes. He came initially a couple of years ago because of Rick Tocchet. He wanted to play under Rick Tocchet. And, obviously being in the latter end of his career, he's like, okay, I'll go play for this guy. And once Tocchet left, he kind of seemed a little frustrated. He knew his team was going to be rebuilding. He knew the team was going to be bad. Everyone's like, all right, he's going to want out. His performance right now is only helping him right now, make that trade base. So I think he is. I think he's going to get traded this season. I don't know when exactly. I think it's sooner rather than later. And I think he just has to keep his performance up to keep the value high so the Arizona Coyotes can actually get an asset out of it. Because I don't think they will trade him unless they know they can get a decent return from him.
What do you think they're looking for in exchange?
Oh, man. It's hard to tell with Bill Armstrong because you could see what he's done over the offseason, just all of a sudden acquiring second rounders and first rounders out of nothing. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they get like a second and a third rounder from him.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Give me a couple of players who, nationally fans may not know a lot about, but you're watching this team game in and game out, even while they've been struggling. Who has sort of been an unsung hero for the Coyotes?
I'll point, and I think he's starting to get the attention to the goaltender Kirill Vejmelka. When Carter Hutton went out with the injury, Vejmelka kind of went 3 straight games, and he's been impressive in almost every single game he's played. I think there's a couple times when he faltered the first minute against Seattle as an example, but here's an example that he has been probably like a rock for the team. He would go ahead and save the Coyotes games and make it a much closer game than where they probably shouldn't be. The game against Carolina, a perfect example of that. That game probably should have been 6-1. Yeah. But ended up being just a 2-goal game, 2-0 or 2-1 or whatever it was. It was a much closer game than it should have. So Vejmelka has been a huge savior for them on that side.
All right, real quick, going to talk a little bit about DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbors, best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you could watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. So, Robyn, before we close up here, a meeting with the Blackhawks coming up in a couple of days. A chance to get out of the division cellar here for Arizona. Talk to me about that upcoming game and what another win might mean if Arizona can pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this actually just only a couple days ago too. I was looking towards that next back to back. They got Nashville and Chicago coming up, and I think that is a good opportunity for them to come out of the cellar like what you said. I mean, I think they're still going to be around that bottom, but I think at least get these a couple extra games will be more of a confidence booster for them than anything else. This team needs the confidence for the future. They know they're not going to win a lot of games this year, obviously, as evident of the first 11 games of the season. But but winning games you should, and I think and finding ways to build a kind of winning culture. I think that's what the point of the rebuild is for the Arizona Coyotes.
All right, Robyn, why don't you let our listeners know where they could find you on social media and where they could find the podcast?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. I am at Robyn_Leano. That's Robyn with the Y. And you can find me there. Our podcast at LO_Coyotes. Again, we're available everywhere you get your podcast there.
All right, Robyn, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck to you and the Coyotes along the way.
All right, thanks, Gil.